1 second, family. We're ready to get started. Yeah, come on in. Yep. Peace, family. Hope everybody doing all right today. We're going to have a good teaching Sunday school lesson. We're going to talk a little bit. I always touch on bases that my students and my fellow colleagues want to talk on. So we're going to talk about a few law terms, and we're going to finish highlighting Clock of Destiny 1. And, excuse me, Morris, I'm going to share a couple books that we print. And like I said, on my printing press, and we have other books from other authors. But before we jump into this teaching, let us start with our Moorish prayer, and then we're going to jump right into this science. I hope everybody having a good day today, like I said. Oh, sorry, 1 second. All right, let's get into this. We're going to kick this science. And this is a divine word by our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. The prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read the proclamation at each meeting. And it says, oh, sorry about that, let me see. And it reads, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work or in the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, my 2 cents Moors, health and wealth. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course, Moors. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, that's esoterically Moors and exoterically, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for our unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to us by our prophet. And if we lose confidence in the prophet, we should turn in our cards, cease wearing our fez, our turbans, even our holy heads, cease wearing our fezzes. I don't even got my turbans down here. But even our turbans, and return to the state where we were found, Moors. This is a holy and divine movement, founded by our prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is therefore sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that we do our part in protecting the temple. This is an everlasting movement, founded by the prophet, through the will of Allah, to redeem his people from sinful ways, Moors. I want us to be clear on things. Let me see, did I pull something down? Or did I? Why did I put it down? What did I do with it? I wanted to share something with your family before I guess I'll find it. I don't know where I put it. Oh, man. Dang, Morris, I have so much I want to share with family. And I have all these stacks of things right here. But as I'm going, once we get to it, I'll find it, hopefully, and prayerfully. So, let's finish. I want to read something else to us so we can get things right. And after our age is almost is finished, so we have clothing, our jogging. So we make our own clothing. Like I said, we represent, and like I tell Moorish, it's all about understanding that you're a business, is operating as a business, which I am. But if you let some Negro, black, and color, I don't care if they have on a turban, whatever, if they don't understand business and understand how Noble Drew Ali set the temple up, in the same way my organization is set, then some people don't understand. When you have to do things, you have to have a charter. How you think you're going to community and teach? You have to understand business. And if Moors don't understand, this is an identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthright for the Moorish Americans, etc. We honor all the divine prophets, and please follow me, Moors. If somebody tell you any different, then ask them why they're saying something different. Follow me. We honor all the divine prophets. Jesus, which we know was never a J in the Hebrew dialect, his name was Yahshua. And if you're a scholar and study the old texts and things, I can show you, you can relate. That's why all my students have literature. We're going to touch on scholarship when I talk about peer-reviewed scholarship. When I say a person may not like your candor when they're from a different creed, or it might be your own brother or sister when they're coming from taking pseudo-academia as truth. And like I tell Moors, I'm not here for no religious dogma or dogmatic situations. I know who I am, and I challenge you to know who you are from a historical, lawful perspective, no matter if it's religion or international law. So that's where I stand with things. But let's carry on. But we respect and honor all the divine prophets. Jesus, which is Yahshua, Buddha, and Confucius. May the blessings of God, our Father, Allah, be upon you that carry this card. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am a citizen of the USA. Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet. 5933 West Madison, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Like I say, I don't hate. And if Moors got things different, then so be it. You know, I'm not here to argue with Moors. I'm just telling you, I nationalized to the temple. And when I tell Moors I got more than just some cards when I nationalized through the temple. Which is your birthright. Like, I had a lot of things came with it, like my amnesty of oath. Just because you were born here in the States don't make you a part of it or a citizen. These are just copies because I have everything in my safe. But this is things that came with my nationality. When I say when you do it the right way, it's done the right way. That's my amnesty of oath. The United States of America, Free Nationalist Republic, 1774, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, 1863, amnesty oath, and it reads, I hereby, I, Kari Hakeem Goodman, do Almighty God, that I will henceforth faithfully support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the in the manner abide by and faithfully support all acts of Congress passed during the existing rebellion with reference to slaves, so long so for as not repealed, modified, or held void by Congress, or by, Moors, decision of the Supreme Court, and that I will, in like manner, abide by and faithfully support all proclamations of the President made during the existing rebellion having reference to slaves, so long so for as not modified or declared void by decision of the Supreme Court, so help me God. I mean, that's just one of the things that come with it. One of the noble decrees. And I'm trying to find one of my DAP book when I show Moors like we are law-abiding citizens. Anybody that's operating outside of the law are aliens and are out of the sheltering parameters of the law. And if any more say they adapt and they don't understand that, what I'm saying, then that's sad. Because we honor all our prophets, all our books. Or, is it right here? Oh, yep, I got them right there. So I'm going to give those books to you for your study. If you can't get them, I have them. I have a plethora of books in my library. And then I have a storage with about, so many books. Like, I don't even count. I can't count it. But it's a whole storage unit full with books, like a library. But anyway, the 720 Allah Noble Decree. We, the Supreme Grand Body and Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, granted sovereign powers by the great God, Allah, and his illustrious noble, Drew Ali. Greetings to whom this may concern. And listen closely, Moors, when brothers and sisters be trying to separate themselves and they going with misnomers. When I say it's one nationality and many cultures, it's only one flag. I hope Moors understand what I'm saying. By the powers of this charter of warrant and dispensation, the Supreme Grand Body bestow a title of nobility to member Kari Hakeem Goodman Bey, Listen to me, my brothers that say they're going around saying that they're Hebrew Israelites, and that's great. I understand that that's a tribe. I'm telling you, to me, it's only one nationality and many cultures. I hope we understand the historicalness of this. Listen to me. Let me read this again. By the powers of this charter of warrant and dispensation, this supreme grand body bestowed a title of nobility to member Kari Hakim Goodman Bey, that is descended from the royal house of Judah and that of the house of David. Moors, I hope we understand what I'm saying. We connecting the dots. Don't let nobody tear these bridges down. We build bridges. That's why we so separated. I mean, this is the old European Masonic trick. When the brothers talk about some secret, how you going to have some secret and help your people? You can't have a secret and help your people. That's why I tell Moors, things are sacred, but ain't nothing secret. If you don't understand the etymon and the etymology of words, we talk about occult. Occult just means things that you don't know. I promise you, Moors, you must understand etymology. You must understand language so you don't get caught up in linguistic apartheid and people got you thinking everything is scary. I'm telling you. By the power of this decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, agents of the Christian Church, Vatican, or any of its corporations in the Roman Curia, can't molest, trespass, or violate our divine rights granted by the great God Allah. I can go on and on and on. The 720 paper, another 720 that comes with it. May Allah blessings and protection always be upon the house of Bey, title of nobility, certificate, Noble Kari K. Goodman Bey, registry of noble house of Bey, a descendant of the royal house of Judah. Judah. So when Moors going around, what I say is one nationality, many cultures. It's only one flag. And I'm talking about history and science. I ain't coming from I don't have no perspective. I don't have no religious dogma I'm coming with. I have degrees on both sides. I have worldly degrees and I have degrees from temples. And I'm part of the Philosophical Society. So any brother coming with, I give you the science. It is no secret. No science was created in the West. I proved this in academia. They didn't like my candor, but they couldn't stop the scholarship because I came pleasant with facts, not angry like a dog, but with historical facts. Remember, man, it's one thing that you can stand strong on. If the pen doesn't match the Carmen Dayton, you don't change the Carmen Dayton Moors. You must change the pen. I can show you all through history where the pen was changed. I can show you through history where they changed Muhammad from short and brown to tall and dark in the Hadiths. I just go with history. I don't get caught up in feeling. I can show you in history under the Byzantine Empire where Muhammad walked the earth and he married Khadijah. Her cousin was a high Roman priestess. So it's no feelings to get caught up in things. If we talk about things from a historical perspective, we talk about slavery and don't even understand white cargo and don't even understand the Arab slave trade. And when I tell Moors, you got to understand geographical landmass before you even get caught up in your feelings. But let's finish with this, what I'm demonstrating for brothers and sisters. Oh, but I showed you that our nobility paper, House of Bey, the title of nobility 720, Moorish American Muslim. And these are just copies because like I said, I keep everything in my safe. I'll read another paperwork that comes with our national daily paper. By the power of this decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to register all nobles of the house of Bey to their title of nobility, pursuant to Leviticus 25 and 10. More scripture. So you got to stop letting people telling you what you don't supposed to do. And if they say they are sheep, and then when you look at the writings, how the prophet set up the temple, sheep just meant trustee. That's why he crossed out elected and put appointed, because it's supposed to be something under that fez, under that capta. Pursuant to Leviticus 25 and 10. That's biblical scripture. So if you don't understand biblical scripture and some Negro color or more telling you to throw away it, how? And I can show you that the black man, the Moorish man, is the father of civilization, proved by biblical proof. I can show you that. That's why in the biblical scriptures in Deuteronomy, it says that a Morite, what else it says? A Morite, a Canaanite, or whatever, cannot inherit the kingdom of God. That's talking about us. So you got to understand what the Novus Testamentum is. when I talk about scholarship, when I talk about all these books that was included in the Bible by certain groups, when I talk about Serapis Christo, the Greek perception of Jesus, created by Alexander the Greek. How did he get there? I'll show you. When you look in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, when I break with a Hellenistic down, when I show you what the Aegean Sea is, from Europe to Asia, which was Africa, we connect the dots, Moors. There's no argument when you come from scholarship. By the power of this decree, this will order and commanded by our illustrious prophet Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Americans are of the royal house of Judah, descendants of King David. Come on, man. If any more going around saying something different, I try to tell you our diet is strictly the Hebrew diet. If any more tell you any different, they lying. I'm telling you. That's why our prophet said don't get rid of your biblical scriptures. I mean, come on, man. If any more say I'm saying something different, they know I'm not. The Hebrew cousins, Moors, all one. I'm telling you. It's one nationality, many cultures. We're not getting it. We're not getting it, Moors. And if you don't understand about building bridges and you want to be in your own group, that don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. When I talk about pseudo-academia, when I talk about everything come from dark to light, we talk about science, man. We talk about, man, when people be telling you all something scared about masonry, and I say, man, that's not true because the Moors created masonry. If I'm going to break the Edimon down to you. One of my brothers asked me, he was like, and I don't diss nobody. I just deal with science. The Clock of Destiny was written and composed by C.M. Bay. You can research in the law library. If anybody else got a book and they say it's the Clock of Destiny, I don't know what it is, so I can't speak on it. But the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1, that we're going to speak on, and I got Volume 2 right here, this C.M. Bay. You can research in the law library, the Library of Congress. A lot of the numbers and stuff that brothers be talking about, that's old. That's C.M. Bay stuff. That's why I tell brothers, you go to court with stuff that you don't know, man, it's sad. But anyway, okay, I gave that one. We, the Supreme Grand Body and Grand Council of Moorish Science Temple of America, granted sovereign powers by the great God of Allah. Okay, we gave that one. By the power of the Charter of Warrant and Dispensation, this Supreme Grand Body bestow a title of nobility to member Khari Hakeem Goodman Bey, that is descended from the royal house of Judah, house of David. If any more saying anything different, man, y'all got to know this. Come on, man. I mean, it's what it is. It's just what it is. I mean, it came with adoption papers, everything. We the Supreme Grand Body and Council of Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its powers and authority from great God Allah and his prophet Noble Drew Ali, whom Allah has sent to redeem his people, the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America. The said Supreme Grand Body and Council is authorized and empowered to initiate and confer degrees of said temple upon any persons or persons duly proposed, qualified, and approved in accordance with the established forms, usage of the laws and edicts of their illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and the Moorish Science Temple of America, its jurisdiction to administer to all true members all the privileges and benefits to all Muslims of the West. Noble K. Goodman Bey, which is me, Khari Hakeem Goodman Bey, 720 degrees, is hereby granted dispensation of said debt and adhere to the vast estate and express trust of Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the Dominion of Kush, Northeast and Southeast Africa, and Northwest and Southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. Old man Kush and his family are the descendants, Old man Kush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan, pursuant to U.S. Department of Justice, capital BM dash dash S, it's like a $, HR dot dot 1WD dot dot 144 dash agreement. I mean, it's just what it is, man. So, and like I said, it's just copies. It's just what it is, man. So if anybody telling you any difference, I mean, yeah, I ain't with, like I said, I don't come to argue with nobody, man. I come from science. And I come to show Moors how to be industrious. And I show Moors how to understand that you are a business and you are education. That's how you create power within your community or in your nation. Because the beggar nation can never save itself. I'm telling you. Man, I'm getting my doctorate degree in Indigenous People Law and Policy. Man, I get to go to court and see brothers, man, on things that's not even the same no more. When it's not a republic anymore. It's not a republic anymore, family. So you got to understand that's laws that's abolished. That's why when I talk about fraudulent concealment, brother, your own brother can conceal something from you. How? If you knew beforehand, before you went to court with that bull crap that they gave you, if you knew it was bull crap before you went, you wouldn't have went. That's fraudulent concealment. So we got to get things right when we talk about real law and real international law. Not that nobody came up with some old treaties that America's done broke. You got to be crazy, man. Muslim Missionary Decrees Certificate. Supreme Grand Body and Council of the Moorish Temple of America in Mecca have been vested. The sovereign powers by the great God of Allah. I gave you that. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to give you this. Listen to this. To confer degrees of a Muslim of the West to a person or persons that has been raised 180 degrees from a shadow grave, son of a widow in the North Gate. I, Noble Kareem Goodman Bey, my obligation as a Muslim, M-O-S-L-E-M, missionary by free will. By free will. Missionary by free will. I hope y'all understand the importance of what I'm saying. The obligation of the nobility of the elect of the Moorish Temple of America. Teachings, the Asiatic of North, South, and Central America to love instead of hate. To love instead of hate. To love instead of hate. Let's finish, man. As I travel the burning sand from east to west in 39 celestial steps with my staff of comfort, my companion, the beast of burden, and my Hebrew master. What did he just say? And my Hebrew masters, logos of perfection. That's right. I do hereby upon my holy Quran, circle 7, demonstrate my degrees to raise fallen humanity from its imperfections with the degrees of social duties, justice, charity, gratitude, and sincerity. Brothers, if they ain't teaching you the silent brotherhood of the East when I talk about that, come on, man. I demonstrate that. In my travels, Allah guide my feet in love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. And I shall not give ear to falsehood, hypocrisy, and deceit. As I travel the burning sands, I possess my charter of warrant and dispensation, my authority to pass through all ports unmolested with my divine rights and privileges. All sons of a Muslim must hold true to its obligation to nobles, Muslims, and the Muhammadan by words and deeds. By words and deeds. And like I said in my file, it's so much. Like I said, we get our adoption papers. It's so much to come with it, man. Moorish Science of Temple of America, my baptism paper. The address of the temple in Chicago, my name that was given at birth, my free national name given at baptism, Noble Kareem Goodman Bey, true race, Asiatic, nationality, Moorish American, religion, Islamism, Sufism, Zoroastrianism. If you understand history, you understand connecting God and man as one. I'm telling you, man. That's why, man, this science, man, it got to be taught. That's why I said, brothers, come on, I'm a real school. Ain't nothing fake about me. If you ask brothers that bought literature from me, it's real. Status, baptism, 10, 20, 26. More, you got to understand what white mean as a status. When I talk about law, when you talk about free white person, some people won't get that. One that possesses this baptism certificate has been redeemed by the illustrious prophet of Bajur Ali and delivered by and fee simple absolute deed that restore all rights and property. Said person has been revoked from the St. Peter's Trust and the Magna Carta Charter Christian enrollment that held my person in bondage. I am a Muslim of the West, a descendant of the Moroccans and born in America. A descendant of the Moroccans and born in America. A descendant of the Moroccans and born in America. I hope you hear me, Moors. We, the Supreme Grand Body, bestow privileges and benefits and grant dispensation of said person by birthright and original inhabitant of North and Southwestern shores of a maximum. I mean, Moors, I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. So when brothers be talking civics and things, when I talk about, look, the only way to study law, if a brother say they don't understand the divine creed of Moorish Islam, when I say we are law-abiding citizens, to understand to where this fast with you must understand law and be able to defend it, not just some martial arts. I study martial arts, been studying all my life. My little brother that passed, my little brother name was Akil Jelani Goodman Bey. He was murdered in 2006. I mean, he studied all the crafts and was a master craftsman at the age 12. I studied Wing Chun. I like to call it sticky hands. But it's more than just wearing this fez, talk about this and that. You must understand real law and not telling brothers and sisters to do some things that we wouldn't do. That's why when I teach law and history with my students, why a lot of the law I don't teach, because I don't want a person just hearing one thing and running away from it and doing something wrong and getting themselves messed up. Like, for instance, I was in court the other day, and so when I get to look at the cases, because I'm doing my dissertation, and I saw that it was a brother Bay last name, so I went. And so, I talked to the judge. Not the judge, I just say the official. Because if Moors understand what the black is all about, he ain't nothing but a referee, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, as I saw what the brother was doing, I was like, man, I wanted to say something to the brother, but they was on me. They was looking. But anyway, the first thing you did is wrong. It showed up. Arguing your name in caps and lowercase has nothing to do with nothing. Well, the first thing the judge is going to ask you, is this you? Yeah, but it's in caps. But is this how you spell your name? Yes. Done. Get out of here. And I'm just summing it up. So it's other things that need to be done. You fought the wrong fight. But anyway, when I talk about a trustee on the law of identification, when we talk about law, when we study real law, we talk about things that we can study. That's what I teach in civics class. When I talk about real consular courts, and when brothers be talking things and they coming from not a factual conception, yes, we talk about Moorish law or the history that some more, but then we have to come from all colors of the law and tell what happened with the treaties. Like, for instance, let's see, can I find it? If I got to highlight, I'm trying to, okay, that's between Persia, that's between China. All right, listen to this. Listen to this and listen closely. The treaty between the United States and Morocco give to the Council of the former exclusive jurisdiction in disputes among the citizens of the United States and in criminal cases. It is provided by the 21st article of the same treaty, which reads as follows. If a person, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country takes place, and equal justice shall be rendered, the council assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the council shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. I'll give a little bit of the treaty between Madagascar, entered in 1881, give the United States councils exclusive jurisdiction over disputes and offenses, either civil or criminal, committed among the citizens of the United States resisting in Madagascar, and in a case of all disputes and offenses, civil or criminal, committed by the citizens of the United States against the subjects of Madagascar, or vice versa, shall be investigated, tried, and adjusted by mixed courts. See, I can go on and on and on. I can show you some courts, they can't even come in and with that crap. Let's see the one in Persia. About the one in Persia, let me see, the treaty that come about. I have to give it to you. Let me see, man. Imagine the citizens of the United States and Turkey, there can be no hearing dispute between. Listen to this. Okay. In Turkey, there can be no hearing in a dispute between the Turks and Americans unless the dragoman of the consulate is present. I hope you know what that is. Applied to the jurisdiction exercised by consular courts of powers. See, I can go on and things when we can get in a right perspective of things. When we talk about nation and we can do things lawfully. Lawfully. When everybody doing their things separate, I say, man, lawfully, when you understand law, you can do things lawfully. As a group, when it's a certain amount of people, then you are counted by law as a nation. I hope more know what I'm talking about legally. I hope we do. If we don't, then I'm not talking to you. You know? And that's cool. So, with that being said, science. One of the books is by, it breaks so much stuff down. It's The Historical Jesus and the Mythical Christ, a lecture by Gerald Massey. I I'm just highlighting some literature. The book of Coming Forth by Day and Night. These things that we have, we print. Our students, when we talk about history, we don't get caught up in our feelings. The real Indian is the Negro, aka the Blackamoor. This is what we teach. We come from historical aspects. When I show Moors, it's pictures, it's documents. We don't get caught up in our feelings. Our kids been to museums. When I show you the Dutch artist Jan Verslack painted the paintings of the so-called Mohawk chiefs who visited London in 1710. The paintings were housed in Kensington Palace. Kingston was in an area in Philadelphia, named after the palace held the original name Shaka Maxim. Shaka Maxim, A-M-A-K-H-S-U-M, meaning the black spiritual priest of God. Shaka Sum, the original name of the Mohawks, is Kanaka, which resembles Canaan. Israel, Phoenicians. The center picture is of the chief of the Creek Confederacy, Chi-Chi, and members of his nation in England, 1736, having intercourse with James Oglethorpe, Oglethorpe, then proprietor of the colony of Georgia. You don't gotta listen to me, man. I just come from scholarship. So we don't get caught up, we don't get our feelings ruffled. Chief Tamoon, the Blackamoor, chief of Turtle Island, Shaka Maxim, Philadelphia. I might not even get to the lecture today, man. I might just, Nanticoke Moors, Lanoo people, Lanoo, Lenape, Nanticoke Moors, the chief tribe of the Wabanaki, W-A-B-A-N-A-K-I, Confederation of Moors, was the Delaware of Lanooni, Lenape, where they black people are African Americans, the descendants of the Moors. William Penn eyewitness to the accounts of Lenape, Nanticoke Moors. Man, I can go Moors. I can give y'all so much. Listen to this before I even go on. Listen to this. Negroes as the original Indians. Proof in the Jesuit letters. This is scholarship. When I did my dissertation and when I did a lecture in a so-called African Americans department at GCU with the students and have people come and speak. It's the student council. So I showed from history stuff right in the libraries and Native Americans. The Negroes as the Jesuits. The Negroes as the original Indians, and proof in the Jesuit letters. Follow me. Jack Forbes paints a very different picture of history than what most of us were taught about the origins of black people. That's one of the books. If you look up the Indian of the Western Hemisphere on Amazon and see how much that costs, I got them. Look up the real cause of the hidden cause of the Civil War on Amazon, I got them. Repeat that. That's where the science at. You be like, oh my God. But let's finish building. We were taught that black people came from Africa as slaves, that the red Indian was the true Native American, and that white people took. And this is science. I'm not coming from no perspective, Moors. This is scholarship. White people, took blacks from Africa and stole the land of the red Indians. This story is nothing but a giant fiction, a novel made up by white historians to deceive the masses about the original history and people of Americas. Like when you talk about roots. Man, it's a book called The African by a white guy named Colander. That whole thing was plagiarized. Alex Haley plagiarized that. Research it, man. Research it. Just like we talk about Kwanzaa. The person that came up with that bull crap was Ron Karinga. Research who he was. Tell you, man. COINTEL. So we get caught up in bull crap instead of science. But let's finish, Moors. Okay. Jack Forbes uses the letters of the Jesuit missionaries to prove that Negroes or black Moors, follow me family, were the first Africans, and in fact were the black and olive tone people in the hemisphere. Commenting from the Jesuit letters on the appearance of the Native Americans, 4 states, and I quote Moors. For example, in 1519, it was said of the Brazilian, that's Spanish, but what it says is, that is they are not black or white, but of olive color. But the same writer remarked that the Brazilian Cano men he saw were so black that they could have been taken for sinners on the sea of Styx, or in hell, what they perceived. In the scriptures, when it says, I'm black, I'm dark, but calmly like the curtains of Kedar, in Portugal, or Spain frequently refers to as Negroes. In April of 1549, Manuel de Nobrega, write this down, ManueldeNobrega, leader of the Jesuits, Bahia, to Simao, Simao, Rodriguez in Lisbon, in which he refers to Portuguese in Brazil as living in sin because of their having many negras, Negras, and lots of children by the said black women. Morris, when I break so much history down, man, when I show you about the quadrant balls, the stuff that was going on in Louisiana back in the day, man, when I show Morris about how when a young man, he was in a spelling bee, and they actually spelled Nagas and Nagras, a term which, according to Leif, Leite, could not have denoted people from Africa, because in 1549 Moors, there were few or no African women in Bahia, Bahia. Get a map and look where that landmass is. Anyway, Moors, Nobrega used the word Indio. When Africans are referred to in the Jesuit letters, they are always called Nagras da June, blacks of Ghana, or Ghana, to distinguish them from Negroes de Terra, blacks of the land of the Americas. Are you following me, Moors? I hope you follow me, Moors. We don't get caught up in no feelings. We don't get caught up in no feelings, family. We do science and history from a historical perspective. And you're welcome in all houses. And that's when you become illuminated. When I talk about the science, when you got to understand the etymology of what an angel is, you got to understand the science of what the adapt degrees are. You got people tricking you in things, which is dogma. All this stuff got to do with you. Now listen to this. A very interesting letter is one prepared by Dos Minas, do Caligo, the Jesuit da Bahia. I'm gonna write. I hope you listen. I want you to write this down because I give clarity for you can research things. His name is Dos Menos space Docolegio space De Jesus Jesus space Da space Baia, and I quote, by a young American studying in the school, Diogo Tapiambia, Permi Montingada, and Quintina. Although probably edited by a Jesuit, this may represent the first letter written by Americans in Europe language from Brazil. In it, they refer to the American leader, El Grillo, as a Negro, Elgrillo, as a Negro, and to the native as Negroes. We find, for example, El Grillo, who is a Negro very well known and feared among them, and that El Grillo as Negro Moigrith. El Grillo was at the same time an Indi, pagan, and a friend of the Portuguese Moors. When you follow this, in August 1552, Noriega wrote from Bahia, South America, to Lisbon, which is Portugal, referring to the native people as Negroes. In May 1554, Antonio Blaquez, Blazquez, from Proto-Sigro, wrote the Jesuits of Cambrai, and this is what he said, but I ain't gonna read it in Spanish. He said that he was preaching to the Americans called Negroes. He also referred to the Negroes, Los Malucos, this Las Tierra, as pupils. The editor notes that by Negroes and Negras, he meant Indians, or Indos, Indias. The history, as recorded by their own white hands, bear witness that the black indigenous and first Americans stemming from the intercourse of Vespucci and Columbus with indigenous blacks in Central America, Amaru, A-M-A-R-U, right? That's how you describe the Negro, which stems back to the Alcuina, the Arabic word Mamaluk, the Qara-Algonquin, which is Arabic. It's the Arabic word Maluk or Mamluk, M-A-M-L-U-K Moors. Also shows the indigenous Moorish presence in the Americas. The history spanned from the first encounters of the Europeans with our ancestors to establish the United States of America and the Revolutionary War period. I mean, Morris, I hope we know when we talk about dispensations. When I talk about dispensation, the Renaissance and dispensation, the whitewash and dispensation, we just talk about history and science, man. Sons of Say Tamani, aka Sons of Liberty, worship a Moorish chief. I'm just gonna go through the pages and show you where this is old stuff. This ain't nothing new. Three-branch system was copied from the Moors, so-called Delaware, Lenape, Nanaco, Moors of America, Anami, executive, chief enforcers, Manasa, judicial interpreters, Analaktaga, legislative, 50 women, oral law. I mean, I hope you more know what I'm saying. I want to stay in one place. We're going to go through this. My Empress like, you got 15 minutes. Yes, Empress. Chief Blackhawk or Makantashi Yaka. I'm going to show you a picture. Chief Blackhawk was chief of the Sauk, or the Shock, the S-A-U-K, or the S-A-K-H. His birth date is unknown. The name Blackhawk is reminiscent of the Black Hawk, or falcon of the Kemetic tradition, representing Horus, or Heru, the resurrected son of Osiris, the anointed one. Blackhawk was born Makatamishka. Mashiach, M-A-S-H-A-I-C-H, is the Hebrew word for Messiah, Moors, that literally means the anointed. As we can see, this is a part of his name. And I'm going to show you pictures. Watch this. The last public appearance was ironically July 4th, 1837, a special day in ancient Moorish Israel. What did he say? Ancient Moorish Israel. Ancient Moorish Israelite. Egypt culture in respect to science, or astronomical science, excuse me, Morris, connotated from black people as their lineal ancestors, of which they are. The resemblance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is they look the same. Show bullcrap roots on TV. I told you that's just fake. I just told you that's fake. Can't no damn Kunta can't tell you that's bullcrap. All fake. Choctaw, there are rambling, hunting parties of them to be met with all over Louisiana. They are at war with the colonies and liked by neither the red nor the white people. April, I'm going to show you pictures. The right, I'm going to show you, is Makash, another chief with an Aramaic, a Hebrew name. His spelled M-A-H-A-S-K-A, means the one with man horns, as the painting shows, and it represents his chiefdom. His chiefdom. He and his father were recorded to have been in 18 battles with the United States and never lost one. He and his father were allies of Black Hawk, or Makatai Mishka. He traveled with his father to Washington, D.C. in 1824 to meet with President John Quincy Adams. The Secretary of State was Henry Clay. These two, Adams and Clay, were later ordered by Abdur Rahman Ibn Hisham to release Abraham Ibn Sori, the Prince of the Slaves, in 1828. Abraham had been touring all over the West, speaking with the chiefs about the laws that were being used to free him under the Moorish status. In the 1840s, the government made many treaties with the Native Americans, and the deals in Oakland, Louisiana, Candace, John Quitman, and Eliza Tunica, the father and mother of Noble Drew Ali, among many other family members, were a part of transactions and interactions. So we just moving along, Morris. Statement from the General Thomas Jessup. This is a statement from General Thomas Jessup. Look up who General Thomas Jessup was. General Thomas Jessup. This, you may be assured, is a Negro, not an Indian war. And if it be not speedily, but down, the South will feel the effects on it, on their slave population, before the end of the next season. Major General, June 1837, in America, State Papers, Military Affairs, citing Kenneth W. Porter, the Negro on the American Frontier. New York, 1971, page 251. 281. If the war be carried on, it must necessarily be one of extermination. We have no former period of history had to end with so formidable an enemy to his country, nor has a single instance ever occurred of a first-rate warrior having surrendered. Throughout my operations, I have found that Negroes, the most active and determined warriors, and during the conference with the Indian chief, I ascertained they exercise an almost controlling influence over them. The Negroes ruled the Indians. The Negroes ruled the Indians. The Negroes ruled the Indians. Man, I can go on and on with the science. Don't get your feelings ruffled. Many of the original black inhabitants began to flee from Western territory and further west to California and mingle with other unaffected indigenous populations. In 18, a U.S. colonial named Duncan Clinch, C-L-I-N-C-H, led an army into Florida to destroy what was called the Black Fort, or Fort Negro. See, it's Black History Month per se. Let's do it. Colonel Duncan Clinch led an army of Red Creek mercenaries and a U.S. Army unit in Florida to destroy North Negro in a book called The Black West by William Katz. Katz report, and I quote, let me get some libation. I'm getting parched. Oh, my empress like, okay, I'm almost done, honey. In his initial orders, General Jackson has asked that they not only destroy the fort, but return the stolen Negroes and property to their original owners. Come on, man. But the question remains, did the Aboriginals see themselves as slaves, foreigners, or property of the Europeans, as Africans, Negroes, or colored people? No. And Colonel Duncan Clinch, you see what doing a little doohickey. But Fort Negro, 1816. Let's do science. We almost done. In the evening, a deputation of chiefs went in fort and demanded its surrender, but they were abused and treated with the utmost. The black chief heaped much abuse on the Americans and said he had been left in command of the fort by the British government and that he would sink any American vessel that should attempt to pass it and would blow up the fort if he could not defend it. The chief also informed me that the Negroes had a red flag. What? The chief also informed me that the Negroes had a red flag. What if you have a flag? One nationality, many cultures, Moors? I'm telling you, man, this is supreme wisdom. You let people get you connotated. It's only one flag. And the English Jack was flying over it. And the English Jack was flying over it. So the question that must be answered, Moors. Moors? A flag represents the nation, right, Moors? It is also a well-known fact in history that the cannon was developed by the Moors in North Africa and Spain. We didn't need the fire stick. The Moors had not only made the fire stick, as I mentioned earlier, but even cannon forged from raw iron, Moors. When I try to say blacksmith, this is all science. Things are connotated. Nomers, Moors. We're talking about science. The two flags represent Great Britain and the indigenous Moorish Empire. They represent a nation of indigenous Moors. This is the same Islamic empire in the east that Abu Bakr, brother of Mansu Mansa, was under when he brought 400 ships to America in 1311 AD, family. Was there a continuous Moorish connection from 1311 with the arrival of Moors from the east that is documented in Africa and America until 1860? The document dates from the presence of contemporary Eastern Moors back 500 AD, as we have shown, and with inscriptions found from the ancient Nevada schools bearing the name of Muhammad as the prophet of Allah, family. What kind of flag is the Moorish? It's the red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. I'm telling you, man, I didn't think I'm gonna get to do the lecture, man. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the lecture tomorrow because I'm gonna finish this and we're gonna be done because that's gonna be too long. The Moorish flag, as presented, like I showed you, Noble Drew Ali, there is an unverified unverified story that George Washington took down the original Moorish Islamic flag in America and locked it in the safe at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. When I show you about the science of Philadelphia Moorish, you will understand it. It was allegedly a part of his efforts to destroy black people in the budding American nation. American nation, Islam in America. I ain't talking about Al-Islam Moors. Allegedly, it was not retrieved until Noble Ali was given the flag by high degree Shriners in the 19th. The Moorish flag was actually dismantled by Colonel Duncan Clint and General Andrew Jackson. I'm telling you, the star was added by the colonizing French authority to the Moorish Sharifian flag in Morocco on November 17, 1915. Research this. After France's colonial occupation began. Before this period, it was a completely red flag, family. So if you want to know the history of that, look that up. It represents the Muslims, the Moors of the Maghreb, West Africa, and the Americas, who are traveling back and forth from Africa to America, who were established as indigenous to both lands. Are you following me, Moors? Many of the Maroons, we talk about the Jamaican Maroons, we talk about Queen Nanny. I touch all these dots, Moors, who were amongst the natives, were called Seminoles, were Muslims, Moors, who had an ancient presence in America. The chief of this fort, called Fort Negro, was a man named Mandi descent. He was of the Mandi descent, or the Mandi descent, M-A-N-D-E family. The Mandi were West African Muslims. The Mandi groups founded the medieval empires of Ghana and Mali. They include the Bambara, the Daila, the Malink, the Mandi, the Dogon, and the Sink, the S-I-N-K, Moors. Research it. You don't gotta like nothing I'm saying. We do science and history. So we operate on this earth plan with no prejudice. The chief at Fort Negro during the invasion of the colony, the invasion of Colonel Clint, was named Abram. His birth name was Sonoffee, S-O-U-N-O-F-F-E-E, Tustanegi, T-U-S-T-E-N-U-G-G-E-E, which meant Swanee warrior, and has been associated with the Swanee River in Florida. The Moorish Mandi Arabic word, S-O-U-N-O-F-F-E, Sunof, means powerful spirit, and Tustugi means warrior. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The chief, who had a Moorish heritage like most of the Maroons in Florida, was not a former slave Moors. Or his heritage, his background, or his appellation. For more, when we talk about appellation, if you're a wine connoisseur, the first thing they ask is, what are the grapes' appellation? But it went back to the indigenous people family. Abram served as an interpreter for the Seminoles, as a legal counsel for the Hema Miko E.R. and Halata Miko, Chief Billy Bowlegs. Hema Miko was the Seminole chief. His brother Halata Miko was also a chief. Abraham served as a representative on their trip to Washington, D.C. We all, my emperor's like, okay, some more, because I can't stay in this all day. George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. Judiciary Act of 1789. First United States Bank, 1791, which was the debt system. You see the more in the background, don't you? There ain't no slave. I tell you that lie. Washington worships Allah and confirms the empire in the east while working to destroy it in the west. I'll show you when I show you his Quran. I can show you that, man. The Moors of the west, who were misnamed Indian Negroes, were also receiving tributary payment from King George III and his colonies. And when they, which were the whites, did not pay their citizens, they were held captives. In the book, The Life of Charles Thompson, The History of the Black Lenabe, Nanticoke Moorish Shaikum, or Shakum, Tedayushkum, is discussed. The tributary payment of the whites and the Tashkenoms, choosing of Charles Thompson, to act as secretary in respect to the misnamed Indians and Negroes and the white British subjects. Here are the records from the book, The Life of Charles Thompson. The Life of Charles Thompson. I mean, I can show you it all here. I don't got time to read it all, but all my students have this. The Treaty of the Maracasha, made in June 1786 and later translated in 1787, family. The Arabic original and English translation protects all Muslims, Moors from enslavement. Most YLVIANEDIOU, the Caliph of the Moorish slave. I'm going to show you more by nature and nationality. I'm going to show you something. Oldest hieroglyphic of the name Moors. Negro, black, and colors. I don't care if you got a fez on. I don't care what you call yourself. And you don't. And you say you're an Egyptologist and you understand the metroneter. And you telling these and you showing these brothers these signs and symbols. And you don't show them that on the hieroglyphics. It's the YHWH. Arrows. Metroneter and the committed teachings of the Mary, M-E-R-I, beloved one. All life come from black waters of new, called space of the neutron, soup of the areas, man. Join, man. We're gonna build our own. This is real.